Hello scholars, welcome to Dakshinari classroom. In this chapter of electromagnetic induction, until now we have discussed that how electromagnetic induction leads to induction of your EMF or induced current. We have also talked about self-induction and mutual induction. We have also talked about what happens when a inductor is connected across a battery. So now we are going to talk about how using electromagnetic induction we generate power. For example, in your household supplies, the power, electricity that comes, that is generated using electromagnetic induction, and that is an AC current. So in this chapter of electromagnetic induction, that is lecture number 8, we are going to talk about how we generate electricity using electromagnetic induction. So before we talk about AC current or AC EMF which is supplied to your homes, first we need to understand that what is the difference between AC and DC current or AC or DC EMF. So first topic that we are going to talk about in today's lecture, that will be AC and DC. AC is alternating current, DC is direct current. So first we will discuss that what is the difference between AC and DC. And second topic that we will discuss is AC generator. AC generator, that how do we generate AC current, which is sometimes also written as the dynamo, that is no problem. So second we will discuss AC and DC generator. First we will discuss what is the difference between AC and DC current or voltage. Pause the video, note down, then we will start our discussion. So let us start our discussion with what is the difference between alternating current or direct current. So let us first discuss what is direct current. So first let us discuss what is direct current. Now direct current has nothing to do with how it is supplied. The only thing that you need to worry about, for example, here I have a circuit. Here there is a resistor, let us say R. Let us say here it is a source. Here it is a power source. I don't know what kind of source it is. So the only way I can determine that whether it is DC or AC source, that I can look at the direction of current. For example, let us say that current in this circuit is going, for you it is going clockwise. So if the current is going clockwise, then does not matter how much amount of current is flowing. Current may vary. For example, let us say I say that this current is I is equal to twice of T. Now this current will vary, but as long as direction of current remains same, as long as current keeps moving in the same clockwise direction, no matter what is the variation of current, we will call it a DC current. So for example, let us try to draw the graph of current versus time in order to better understand what do we mean by DC current. So for example, let us draw a graph. We will take 2-3 examples. So that is time, that is current. So let us say that if this is a battery, if this is a some EMF battery, then what will happen? Let us say that here this is nothing but just a battery. Then what will happen? This current will be like this. This current will not change with time. It will be continuous. So this is what is happening. Current is always positive, meaning current is always in the same direction. If I assign clockwise direction to be positive, then current is always positive, meaning current is always in the same direction, meaning this is a DC current. And if the value also does not change, meaning sign is not changing, sign is always positive, and the magnitude of current is also not changing, so we call it continuous DC or constant DC. In a different books, different names may be given. Constant DC current, because magnitude is also constant and your direction of flow is also constant. What is the meaning of direction of flow? In this circuit, it will always be clockwise direction. Direction will not change. Now let us take another example. Let us take another example. Suppose that this is current, this is time. Now let us say remove the battery and attach a unknown source. What kind of that source is that I do not know. Now let us say if I want to plot the graph of current versus time, that graph comes out to be like this. And so on. So in this graph, what is happening? See here. This is t-axis. This is minus I, this is plus I. So if you look at the graph, even though magnitude of the current is variable with respect to time, magnitude of the current is varying. But what about the direction? It is always above the time axis, meaning it is always positive, meaning in this circuit, current will always flow in the clockwise direction. However, its magnitude is varying. So even if magnitude varies, but current direction remains same, then also you will call it a DC current. Meaning here, the magnitude is variable, but the direction is always positive. Then this will also be called a DC current. So this was constant DC, this will be called variable DC. So what you have to keep in mind? You have to keep in mind, in order to differentiate DC current, only thing you have to see that for all time, this current should always be positive. It should always be in the same direction. Just your magnitude can vary. Magnitude can vary however you want. For example, let us take another example. Let us draw another graph. This is current. This is time. Let us say my current is like this. How this current is generated, that we are not worried. Like this. For here, let us say 0, 1, 2, 3. For let us say this is to be 5 ampere. It can be anything. So for 0 to 1, current is 5 ampere. For 1 to 2 second, current is 0. For 2 to 3 second, current is again 5 ampere. So even though this current is variable, but it never goes in the negative, meaning direction never changes. So this will also be called your DC current, albeit it will be variable DC. Let us take another example. Time, current. Let us draw the current graph like this. Now you might have studied in your 10th standard that AC current looks like this. But remember what we have to say, we have to look at the direction. So even though magnitude is varying like a sine curve, what about your sign here? Not sign means S-I-G-N sign. It is positive or negative. So it always remains positive. The current never goes in the negative, minus I. Current never goes in the negative. It always remains either positive or 0. So if the current always remains positive or negative, it can also be negative then also. So whether if it is going clockwise, then it should always go clockwise. If it is going anti-clockwise, then it should always go anti-clockwise. Meaning in the graphs, if it is positive, it should always be positive or 0. If it is negative, it should always be negative or 0. Then it will be called a DC current. So here also it will be a DC current. So if you want to write the definition of what is DC current, then you can simply say if the current does not change its direction, it is called DC current. That is very simple. So pause the video, you can draw this graph, then we will discuss what is an AC current. Now let us discuss what is alternating current. So in case of DC current, the direction of flow of current should always remain same, even though magnitude is variable. So let us try to understand AC current through graphs. So let us try to draw a graph. This is your time, this is your current, here it is minus of current. So let us say that my current varies like this and so on. So this was 0. Let us say this is time t, this is 3 times t, this is 5 times t and so on. So what is happening here? For 0 to t, current was positive, that is clockwise. Even though its magnitude was varying, magnitude was decreasing, but it was still positive. In case, if you remember, Vt graph you draw. So even though magnitude is decreasing, still it is positive, same way. And for t to 3t, even though magnitude is variable, your sign is negative. For 3t to 5t, magnitude is variable, but sign is positive. So your direction of flow of current, even though magnitude can vary, the direction is varying or changing at a regular interval of time. Every 2t second after, your direction changes in this case. So if the direction is changing at a regular interval of time, that will be called your alternating current. Alternating current. So in case of alternating current, magnitude can vary, just the direction should remain changing. In case of DC current, direction should remain same, magnitude can vary. So in both the cases, magnitude is not important. What is important is the direction or the sign, whether it is positive or negative. So let us talk about another example. Let us draw more like it. So let us draw it like this. This is T, this is your current, this is minus of current. Let us say that current varies like this. Now how it will be generated, that is not our problem right now. Right now we are only concerned with finding out whether it is DC or AC. Now in this case, let us say here 0, here t, here your twice t, this is 3t and so on. For 0 to t, it is positive. For t to twice t, it is negative. For 2t to 3t, it is again positive. So here also direction is changing after every t second. So in this case also it will be called an alternating current. Now let us talk about a particular type of alternating current. Let us draw the graph. This is T, this is I. Now if the current varies like this, for example, now if you remember which kind of graph it resembles to, it resembles to the graph of your sine curve. So if you draw the graph of sine, that also looks like this: sine 0, sine pi, sine 2 pi, sine 3 pi and so on. So what is happening here? In this case also the direction is changing after every pi interval or after every t interval. So here also this is AC, but this particular kind of AC is called sinusoidal AC. Sinusoidal AC, meaning this varies according to sine curve or cosine curve. So this particular kind of graph will be called sinusoidal AC. Now even though all of them are AC, these two curve or the general, for example this curve you take. So how this current, AC current, will be generated, that will be a little bit beyond the scope of your syllabus. Same is the case with this way. But in your syllabus, in this lecture, we are going to focus on how your sinusoidal AC current is generated. So pause the video, draw the graphs, note it down, and then we will start discussing the generation of sinusoidal AC or AC generator. So let us discuss how our alternating current, or more specifically sinusoidal alternating current, is generated. In order to understand this, here I have drawn a very simplified diagram of your AC generator, schematic diagram. Now in this case, let us first understand what are the main components of your AC generator. In some books, it may also be written as AC dynamo. So what are the main parts of your AC generator? So the first part is magnet. So here there is a north pole, there is a south pole. Now they are not separate, north pole and south pole. We have shown them like this, but in actuality there is an arrangement. So what is the purpose of north pole and south pole or the magnet? The purpose of magnet is to generate a very strong magnetic field in this area. Very strong magnetic field, let us write that as B. So this may be your permanent magnet, it may be your permanent magnet, or it may be an electromagnet. Both are possible, but both will do what? They will generate a constant, uniform, your very strong magnetic field. So magnet either permanent or electromagnet. To generate a strong uniform magnetic field. Now a lot of this you might have already studied in your 10th standard. So either permanent or very electromagnet. What is the purpose? To generate a very strong your magnetic field. What is the second thing? Second thing is called your armature. What is armature? Now see here I have a coil, PQRS. That is a coil, rectangular coil I have shown. In different your generators it may be different. So here I have shown only one loop, but actually there will be number of loops. So what is armature? Armature is nothing but a coil made up of insulated copper wires, and this coil will have number of loops, not only one loop. So armature, what is armature? It is a coil made of insulated copper wire. Generally it is made up of copper wire having capital N turns. So there will be a number of turns in this coil. Now here we have rings, slip rings. They are called slip ring. Now slip rings are attached to one end of the coil. Meaning, for example, C1. Slip ring C1 will always be attached to end S, and slip ring C2 will always be attached to end P. So there are generally two slip rings and they are always attached to your same end of your coil. Next is your slip rings. Two conducting rings always attached to same end of coil. And there is another. Now there is a brush B1 and B2. So these brush, what is happening here, when you rotate this armature, we will discuss in detail, the slip ring also rotates. So you cannot directly attach your wire to the slip rings. So what we have here there is a brush. What is the purpose of brush? Brush will be like attached, just touching your slip ring. For example, let us say my hand is the brush and this is your slip ring. So if the slip ring rotates, my hand is just touching your slip ring. So even though my hand is not attached to the slip ring, it can conduct electricity through this. If I directly attach a wire to the slip ring, then what will happen? As this slip ring rotates, wire will also rotate and the circle will break down and jumble up. But here the brushes just touch the slip ring. They are just touching. They can slide on your slip ring. So as the slip ring rotates, brush remains there only, but still it is able to conduct your electricity. So brushes, like this. So there are four main parts. One is magnet. Their job is to produce very strong magnetic field. Another is armature coil made up of insulated copper wire having n number of turns. Then there is a slip ring and brush. Their job is to transfer current from the coil to the outer circuit. For example, this brush is connected to P and Q. So here P, Q is the terminal. You can attach any outer appliance to this PQ. Here you close the switch, here the current will flow. If there is a bulb, it will glow. You can attach any appliance. So that way there is a main parts of your AC generator. Pause the video, note them down, then we will discuss how actually AC generator works. Now let us try to understand how we can derive the EMF produced in an AC generator or the current driven by that EMF. So here that is a very simple diagram, simple schematic diagram of your AC generator. So let us say in our AC generator we have a coil. As we have already talked about, there are 3-4 main parts of your AC generator. One of them is there is a coil. So let us assume that our coil has n number of turns. So let us take a coil with capital N turns, and if there is a coil, then every coil will have area, and area of each turn is A. So we have n number of coils and area of each turn is A. Now let us assume at t equals 0. Now let us say that this is north pole, this is south pole. Now as we have already discussed, north and south cannot be separate, but we can use electromagnet and so on to generate field like this. So field is generated from right to left in that direction, not right to left, left to right. Now let us suppose at t equal to 0, our coil is like this, perpendicular to your field direction. So if that is the field direction and my coil is like this, so can I say that plane of the coil, this is the plane of the coil and this is field direction. So if at t equal to 0, plane of the coil is perpendicular to the field like this. And if you remember, what is the area vector? Area vector can be taken as perpendicular to the direction of the field. So direction of the plane of the coil, not field. So if coil is like this and field is like this, so can I say that area vector and field vector are both in the same direction, meaning area vector and field vector are at 0 angle with each other. So at t equal to 0, my coil is like this. So plane of the coil is perpendicular to the direction of field, and that is why area vector and field vector are at 0 degree or 0 radian angle with each other. So let us write at t equals 0, plane of coil is perpendicular to field. And if plane of the coil is perpendicular to the field, what is plane of the coil? For example, if this is the coil, then this paper is your plane of the coil. So at t equal to 0, it is like this. So plane of the coil is perpendicular to your field vector. And if plane of the coil is perpendicular to field and area vector is perpendicular to plane, meaning both are at 0 degree. So area vector and field vector are at 0 radian or 0 degree, both are same radian angle. So at t equal to 0, that is the condition. Now, so let us suppose that two vectors are parallel to each other. Here area vector and field vector are parallel to each other like this. Now if I rotate my coil, so let us suppose I rotate my coil by an angle theta, then plane area vector will always be perpendicular to the plane. So if I rotate my plane of the coil, then area vector, which is always perpendicular to the plane, will also be rotated by the same angle. For example, this is like this, and this is your area vector. If I rotate your loop, area vector also rotates with the loop. So by whatever angle you rotate your coil, same will be the angle rotated by your area vector. So let us write at time t. Because see here, what happens in case of a generator. For example, you must have seen a generator in case of any wedding or functions, parties. What happens that there is always a diesel, your engine. What is the use of diesel engine? You pour the diesel, you rotate the handle. So what is the use of diesel engine? The use of diesel engine is to keep rotating this coil. This is the coil here, and use of the diesel engine is to keep rotating this coil with a constant angular velocity omega. So if the diesel engine is continuously rotating the coil with a constant angular velocity omega, then can I say if at t equal to 0, 0, let us suppose. So at time t, angle rotated by coil. So if omega is the constant angular velocity of rotation of coil, here this is the axis. So if omega is the constant angular velocity, so at time t from 0 to t, how much angle it has rotated? Omega times t. So at time t, angle rotated by coil is theta equals omega times t. And if angle rotated by the coil is omega t, listen, at t equal to 0, what was the angle between area vector and field vector? 0. And if coil rotated by omega t, then your area vector also rotated by omega t. Now what is the angle between area vector and field vector? Omega times t. So if at t equal to 0, angle between area and field was 0 and it is omega rotating, so at time t, angle will be omega t. So at time t, angle rotated by the coil is omega t. So angle between area vector and field vector at time t will be equal to theta equals omega times t. Why? Because we are assuming that at t equal to 0, your coil was like this, and this was field vector and same was area vector. You rotated the coil by theta, so area vector also rotated by theta. So area and field angle becomes theta equals omega times t, like this. Now, so if angle between area vector and field vector is known at a given time, then what is Faraday's law? According to Faraday's law, your EMF can be calculated based on flux. So what would be the flux passing through this coil? So flux, let us write flux through the coil. Flux through the coil at time t. At time t will be equal to flux equals B dot A. That is your flux, your area vector and B vector, field vector. So B dot A, that is your flux. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss further how EMF is generated. So as we have discussed, at time t, angle between area vector and your field vector may be written as B, your omega. Omega is the angular velocity because of the your diesel engine, and times t. How? Let us suppose this is your area vector and this is your, let us say, same here is field vector. That is the position at t equals 0. What I am doing? I am rotating area vector. How I am rotating area vector? Because I am rotating coil. If the coil is rotated, area vector is also rotated. Why? Because area vector is always perpendicular to the plane of the coil. So if I rotate area vector, let us say I rotated area vector by how much angle? By theta. Then what is the angle between area vector and field vector now? Whatever angle area vector rotated, same is the angle between area vector and field vector. Same is the position here. Initially, this was the position at t equals to 0. I rotated my area vector. Why? Whatever angle I rotated my area vector, same will be the angle between area vector and field vector. So let us try to write what is the flux through the coil. So we have already seen that flux through the coil may be written as B dot A. That is the flux. Now field. Let us say if I want to write the magnitude of this value, what I can write? I can write the magnitude as mod of field vector, mod of area vector, and dot product. Dot product is cos theta. So that is cos of theta. What is theta? At t equal to 0, angle was 0. At time t, angle is omega times t, because omega is the constant angular rotational your velocity. Because of what? Because of external diesel engine. Who is rotating it constantly? External diesel engine is there. So that is omega times t, like this. Now, what is your EMF according to Faraday's law? According to Faraday's law. According to Faraday's law, EMF produced in a coil which may have many number of turns may be written as minus of d phi by dt. So let us write EMF is nothing but minus of d phi by dt, like this. So let us try to find out how much is this. Minus of differentiation B A cos omega t divided by dt, like this. Now B, it is such that magnetic field is produced by some other mechanism, by an electromagnet or your permanent magnet. So however you rotate your coil, magnetic field does not change. So B is a constant. Even if area is rotating, even if your loop is rotating, the magnitude of area vector, remember, direction of area vector will change, but the magnitude will remain same, meaning magnitude A can be taken as constant. So take B and A as constant. But remember here, this is the flux through one loop, and my coil has how many turns? N number of turns. So can I write like this? Total, this is 1, phi 1, flux through 1. And if I want total EMF, I will have to consider N number of loops. So total EMF will be how much? This is due to one loop, right? So if one loop generates this much, then N number of loops will generate how much? Multiplied by N. So here, multiply by N. Now, what I will do? EMF will be equal to minus of capital N. B and A are outside. B and A, differentiation cos omega t divided by dt, like this. Now, how this can be written? Minus of NBA. Now, what is the differentiation of cos omega t? Cos x t or cos ax. So, differentiation of cos omega t is nothing but cos differentiation is minus sine. So, this will be minus of omega sine omega t. So, minus of omega sine omega t, like this. And if I simplify this a little bit, I will get here, let us write here, EMF equals minus minus cancel, NBA omega sine omega t. That will be your EMF generated in a generator. Here capital N is the number of turns in your coil, B is the magnetic field, A is the area of your coil, omega is the angular velocity with which your coil is rotating, and t is the time t. So here you can see your EMF is variable. It is not a constant value, and it varies as a function of sine omega t, sine t. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss it further. So here we have derived that EMF produced in an AC generator may be written as EMF equals to NBA omega sine omega t. Now here N is a constant, B is a constant, area is a constant, omega is a constant. So this entire value can be written as one constant. So you can write this EMF equals E naught sine omega t, like this. So this EMF is E naught sine omega t. Now sine omega or sine function is variable. And what can be the maximum value of a sine function? Maximum value of a sine function can be 1. And what can be the minimum value of sine function? Minimum value of sine function can be -1. So can I say this EMF will vary? How? This EMF must be less than or equal to E naught. What can be the maximum value of this EMF? Maximum can be E naught. More than that it cannot be. Why? Because sine omega t, and sine omega t maximum can be 1. So like this. And what can be the minimum value? So this EMF should be greater than or equal to minus of E naught. Why? Because minimum value of sine omega t can be -1. So minus of E naught greater than or equal to E and greater than or equal to E naught, like this. So your EMF must be less than or equal to E naught, and it must be greater than or equal to minus E naught. Beyond that, it cannot take values. So if you want to know what is the maximum value of EMF induced in a AC generator, so you can write E max equals E naught equals NBA omega. That can be the maximum value. Now if you want to draw the graph, how the graph will look like of this EMF generated? Very easy. How? Suppose that this is your time axis, this is your EMF axis. Then at t equal to 0, sine omega t is 0. So your EMF will be 0 because E naught multiplied by 0. So from here you will start. And it will go same as your sine function. So it will go like this. Now what are these values? At t equal to 0, EMF is 0. When it will be maximum? It will be maximum when omega t is how much? 90 degree or pi by 2 radian. So if sine omega t is 1, meaning omega t is pi by 2, meaning t is your pi by 2 omega. So this value is pi by 2 omega. What about this point? This point is when your sine is 0 again. So sine is 0 again for what angle? For pi radian. So this will be what? This will be pi by omega. Same way you can find this. At this point sine is -1. So this is your minus of E naught and this is your plus of E naught. So again this value will be what? This value will be pi by 2 omega, pi omega plus pi by 2 omega. So here omega t must be equal to how much? Omega t must be equal to 3 pi by 2. So this value must be 3 pi by 2 omega. Like this. Time, we are talking about time. And what time? Again it will be 0. Again at 2 pi it will be 0. So omega t equals 2 pi. So t equals 2 pi by omega. So this value is 2 pi by omega. And so on, it will keep on repeating itself. So your EMF is generated in the form of your sine function. EMF varies. So in case of AC generator, EMF is a sine function. It is changing its direction. See here, from 0 to pi by omega, direction of EMF is positive. Let us say clockwise. From pi by omega to 2 pi by omega, EMF is negative, meaning anti-clockwise. Again from 2 pi again up to pi angle, it will be again your positive, again clockwise, then again negative. So it will keep on changing its direction after every pi rotation, meaning after every pi by omega time, your EMF direction will reverse. Meaning, for example, in this circuit, after every pi by omega, direction of the current flowing through this resistor will be reversed. Now, this is your EMF. If you want to know what is the current, if I want to know what is the current through this circuit, so current through the circuit is nothing but EMF divided by resistance. That is your current. So pause the video, note down, then we will discuss further. So here EMF generated in our AC generator is E is equal to E naught sine omega t. That we have already derived. Now here we have an external resistance R connected across the portals, which is brush B1 and B2. Now, so if in a circuit EMF generated is this and external resistance is R, then what you can simply do, in order to find the current, I is nothing but EMF divided by external resistance R. Now here we are assuming that this coil has no resistance. In actuality there is some resistance of that also, but we are now not considering that. So I will be equal to how much? EMF, which is E naught divided by R sine omega t, like this. So here it will be what? I is equal to I naught sine omega t, like this you can write. So this will be your current flowing through the circuit. So if your EMF varies sinusoidally, then your current is also varying sinusoidally. Here, if EMF is a sine function, current is also sine function. Later on, we will study in AC circuits, when we study in detail, that it is possible that EMF varies in sine and current varies in cos, or EMF varies in cos, current varies in sine function. That can happen, but that we will study under AC chapter. Right now, if we add an external resistance R, EMF is a sine function, current is also a sine function. Here what you will write? I naught is equal to nothing but E naught divided by R. And what is E naught? E naught, if you remember, is NBA omega. So I naught is nothing but maximum value of current, because here current cannot be maximum more than I naught and current cannot be less than minus I naught. So maximum value of current is nothing but NBA omega divided by R. That is the maximum value of current. And if somebody asks, tell me the minimum value of current. So minimum is nothing but when sine omega t minus 1. So maximum is NBA omega R. So minimum will be in the opposite direction. That is the, when you consider the direction. But if somebody asks, what is the minimum magnitude of current? What is the minimum magnitude of current? So what can be the minimum magnitude? Just the magnitude. If you talk about just the magnitude, so minimum magnitude of sine function can be what? 0. So minimum magnitude of current can be 0. So remember, minimum current and minimum magnitude of current, both are two different things. Minimum current means opposite direction. Minimum magnitude of current is 0. So that way you can solve. Pause the video, note it down. Then we will discuss how do we find the direction of current in this loop. Now that we have already seen what is the mathematical equation for the EMF generated in an AC generator or a current produced in an external circuit. Now let us talk about how we can say the direction of current is changing. Now for the sake of simplification, I have drawn a single loop here, PQRS. Now this loop is rotated by an external generator. There is an external diesel generator, diesel engine, not generator. That diesel engine is rotating this loop by a constant angular velocity omega. Now what will happen? So first we will go through the proper, your formula proper method. Then we will see there is a very easy method. Now, so let us suppose that this loop is rotated this way, like that. So that way PQ will be coming out of the board and RS will be going inside the board. Now, we have already seen that if this loop is a wire, metallic wire, if this PQ is a metallic wire, there will be a lot of free electrons in this PQ arm, correct? Now we have also studied that whenever there is a charge particle moved in a magnetic field, it experiences some amount of force. What is that force? Force experienced by the charge particle may be written as Q times V cross B, like this. Now, since electron is a negatively charged particle, I can write force by an electron. Force experienced by an electron is nothing but minus of 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 9, which is charge on the electron, times V cross B, like this. Now, meaning whatever is the V cross B for an electron, force will be opposite to that direction, because here it is a minus. So this wire PQ is coming out of the board. Meaning, what is the velocity direction for this wire? Like this. So that is the velocity direction towards you for the wire PQ. So this is the velocity direction. What is your field direction? That is your field direction. What is B? V cross B. V cross B, upward. So V cross B is upward, but here it is a minus sign. Meaning, force on the electron will be in which direction? Downward direction. So in this PQ wire, electrons will experience force in which direction? From Q to P direction, this direction. And if electrons move in this direction, then current will be in which direction? Remember, current is the direction of flow of positive charge. So if the electron is flowing down, then current should flow up. So in the PQ arm, current should be flowing like this, that way. Now, what about RS arm? RS arm is going inside because that's how loop is rotating. So RS is going inside. This is the field. So V cross B. So V cross B is down, but here it is a minus sign. So electrons will move up. So if the electrons are moving up, current should be down. So in the RS arm, current should be in this direction. So your current in the loop is flowing like this. Here. And there will be an external circuit. So initially your current is flowing from where? From P to Q to R to S. So in your loop, let us say first condition is initially current is from P to Q to R to S, like this. Now let us assume a condition after the loop has rotated by pi radian. So after loop has rotated by pi angle, 180 degree or pi radian. So after the loop has rotated, see here, this is your loop. If you rotate it by pi radian or 180 degree, then what will happen? This PQ will come here and this RS will come here. So this will become like this. After pi rotation, this will become P. This is Q, this is R, this is S. Now still the loop is rotating which way? Clockwise. That is the purpose of external diesel engine. That is always rotating the loop clockwise or anti-clockwise, whichever way your engine is rotating. Now, so still now this wire is coming up and this wire is going down. Now what is the current now? If you pay attention, current now is from S to R to Q to P. This loop has rotated. Okay. So current now is S to R to Q to P. So what is happening here? Initially current was flowing from which to which? From P corner to Q corner to R corner to S corner. Now the current is flowing from S corner to R to Q to P. So direction of current has reversed. So meaning after every 180 degree turn, direction of current reverses. And if you remember, what was current? I is equal to I naught sine omega t, mathematical formula. I is equal to I naught sine omega t. This also changes direction after every pi rotation. Or if you remember the diagram, T, I, it will be like this. So here current direction is changing. Here current direction is changing. What was this? This, if you remember, this was pi by omega. And this was 2 pi by omega. So here also you can see every pi by omega time. So every pi rotation, how much time it will take to pi rotation? Pi by omega, because omega is the angular velocity. So after every pi by omega time, your direction of the current is changing. That you can verify from the graph also, from this also, and from this way also. Whichever way you can verify. So whatever is your result, it should be verifiable with all the three ways. It should not happen that in one way you are getting a different result, in other way you are getting a different result, in other way you are getting different. If you are getting different result, meaning you are doing something wrong. So if your answer result is correct, that after every pi by omega time the direction of current is changing. If that is correct, then in all the three ways I should be getting the same result. Pause the video, note down, then we will discuss a very simple way in order to find the direction of current in a loop. Now let us talk about a very simple method in order to find which direction current is flowing. We have already seen which direction current will flow based on force on an electron. Now this method, which is called Fleming's right hand rule, you must have studied it in your 10th standard. Now this is sometimes asked in board exams also, that is why we are studying it here. But if you really pay attention, Fleming's right hand rule is nothing but a derivation of the method we have already studied. That velocity is in outward direction, force will be inward, downward, so current will be upward. V cross B minus is there because it is electron. So Fleming's right hand rule is nothing but a derivation of the method we have already seen. It is just simplifies. It is for those who do not know what is a cross product. So in 10th standard, you didn't know what is the cross product. So in 10th standard, you were taught Fleming's right hand rule. So, but if you know what is cross product and how current can be known, how your charges are flowing, if you know that, then you need not remember this. But sometimes it may be asked in your board exams. That is why we have to study this. Okay. Now what is Fleming's right hand rule? See here. If you stretch the thumb, first finger and your second finger, thumb, first finger, second finger of your right hand in such a way that they are perpendicular to each other, like this. Thumb, first finger, second finger. You stretch them in such a way that they are perpendicular to each other. Now, if thumb points towards the direction of motion of your conductor. So for example, if we talk about current in PQ, so it is rotating like this, clockwise like this here, as a. Now if it is rotating like this, thumb points in the direction of motion of your conductor, like this. Thumb points in the direction of motion of conductor. Then first finger points towards the direction of field, like this. Then your second finger will tell you which direction your current will flow. So for example, let us write stretch, thumb, first finger and second finger of your right hand in such a way that they are perpendicular to each other, So stretch like this. Thumb, first finger, second finger. They are perpendicular to each other. Then if, okay, let us write if thumb points towards direction of motion of what? Motion of your arm of a loop, arm PQ, motion, and first finger points towards direction of field. So if thumb points towards the direction of motion, first finger points towards the direction of field, then your second finger points in the direction of current. So that is nothing but a derivation of V cross B. See here, this is the direction of motion V, this is the direction of field B. V cross B is upward direction of current. So if positive charges are moving, same, negative are moving, then V cross V will be downward, but the current is opposite to the direction of motion. So like this, direction of motion of charges. So like this. So your direction of current here. Let us apply this in this case. So thumb motion rotating, field current. So here current will be like this. What about this? Inside it is going. Thumb, field, current, downward. So current. So it is like this. And if you remember, we had derived the same thing by using F is equal to Q times V cross B. So your right hand rule is nothing but a derivation of what we have already studied, that force is nothing but Q times V cross B. So if you remember that, you need not remember this in order to find your direction of current. There are multiple ways to find the direction of current. There is right hand rule, there is this, there is Lenz's law. On the basic level, all of them work on the same principle. What is that principle? If that wire is coming upward, electrons are also coming outward with the same velocity as the wire. So electrons become a moving charge, and if they are moving charge, they are placed in a field, they will experience a force. That is your trick. So on the basic level, every one of those rules, Lenz's law, right hand rule, and this, all of them are working on that electrons are experiencing a force. If they are moving with the wire, then they are experiencing a force. Based on that, you are finding the direction of current. It is another thing that all of them have different wordings. They are telling you in a different way. So whichever is your useful given on the basis of your question, you can use that method. For the board exams, you can remember this and just write in the board exam. Pause the video, note it down, then we will discuss further. Now let us discuss few basic terms with regards to your sinusoidal AC current. So here we have derived a general equation for a sinusoidal AC current as I equals I naught sin omega t plus delta, where delta was the initial angle. Now, so as in the case of AC current, this current also will vary sinusoidally. Now, after how much time interval this current will repeat itself? So if you remember your wave equation, so in the waves, the time interval is defined as how? The time interval is defined the time period after which the wave properties repeat itself. Meaning time after which, in this case, magnitude as well as direction of current will become same. So let us define the time period. So time period. So time period will be what? Time period will be time after which magnitude as well as direction of current repeats itself. Meaning the value of this should become again same. So what will be time period? If you remember your wave equation, so in case of a sine function, I naught is a constant and sine function repeats itself after how much angle? After every 2 pi, sine function repeats itself. So after how much time it will repeat? So if we talk about the loop, so loop repeats itself after every 2 pi rotation, every 2 pi radian rotation. So after how much time it will repeat? T equals capital T will be equal to how much angle it has to rotate in order to repeat itself? 2 pi. And how much time it will take to rotate 2 pi angle? Omega is the angular speed. So time taken to rotate 2 pi angle will be 2 pi by omega. So time period of your alternating current may be written as 2 pi by omega, where omega is the angular speed with which your armature coil is rotating. Now what about frequency? What is frequency? Frequency is nothing but 1 by time period, meaning in one time period how many times it changes direction. So frequency is equal to mu equals 1 by time period. So mu equals omega by 2 pi, like this. That is your frequency of your alternating current. So if alternating current equation is written, by omega, finding the omega, you can know the time period, you can know the frequency values. Now, there is another thing. After how much time it changes its direction. Remember, direction changing and repeating itself are two different things. For example, let us try to illustrate by drawing a graph. So if at t equal to 0, theta is 0, delta is 0, then I can draw my graph like this. So see here, t equal to 0, it is here, it is repeating here. So here and this, from here again it will be same graph. So this is t, this is I. So after how much time it will repeat itself? 2 pi by omega. So this is 0, this is pi by omega, this is 2 pi by omega, and so on. So the graph repeats itself after every 2 pi by omega. But if you want to know after how much interval the current changes its direction, those are two different things here. If you want to know the direction of change, how much time it changes direction, it is 0 here and pi by omega. After pi by omega, direction becomes negative. After again pi by omega, direction becomes negative. After again pi by omega, direction will become like this. So here positive, after pi by omega it becomes negative. Here negative, after pi by omega it becomes positive. Again after pi by omega it will become negative. So in case of a sinusoidal current, current changes its direction after every time. How much time? So let us write that current changes its direction after every how much time? Pi by omega second. Why? Because if you remember, after 180 degree rotation, the direction was reversed. So if you have to reverse the direction of current, your coil should rotate by how much angle? 180 degree. So how much time it will take to rotate 180 degree? Pi radian divided by omega. So after every pi by omega seconds, like this. So that is your time. Now remember, this is different from your frequency. Frequency is after how much time your graph will repeats itself. And this is after how much time your current changes its direction. So there are two kinds of change, right? Positive to negative also is a change. Negative to positive also is a change. So here it is changing from positive to negative. Here it is changing from negative to positive. But both will be counted as change in direction. That is why only pi by omega second. And while in the frequency it is 2 omega by 2 pi. So in the frequency it takes 2 pi by omega time from here to here, time period. So when you talk about time period, you take both magnitude as well as direction. So here it is positive to negative change. Here it is negative to positive change. That is why I cannot take this as my time period. I will have to take this entire as my time period. Pause the video, note it down, then we will solve questions based on this. Let us try to solve one very easy question based on your AC generator or AC current. What is the question? In an AC circuit, current is given as 200 sine 100 pi t. Find the time taken for current to reach maximum value from zero current. Now, if you write the standard equation, I is equal to I naught sine of omega t plus delta. And if you compare from this equation, what are 200 equals, no, I equals 200 sine of 100 pi t. If you compare, you will get delta equals 0. Initially angle between area vector and field vector is 0. Omega equals 100 pi omega, and I naught equals 200 ampere, let us say. Now At t equal to 0, let us say the current is 0, because t equal to 0, it will be sine 0 is 0, so current is 0. How much time it will take for current to be maximum? Now what can be the maximum value of current here? 200. When this sine function becomes 1. When the sine function will become 1? Sine function is maximum, which is 1, when the angle is how much? Pi by 2. So what I can write? Omega t must be equal to pi by 2, like this. So first time sine becomes maximum when omega t is pi by 2. There will be a next time. Next time when? When omega t is equal to 5 pi by 2. Remember, we are not taking 3 pi by 2. Why? Because for 3 pi by 2, sine omega t will be minus 1. We want a maximum value, not minimum value. So omega t is equal to pi by 2, or let us say how much? 2 pi plus pi by 2, 5 pi by 2, and so on. Okay. So first time when this. So t equals to pi by 2 omega will be the time when the current will become maximum value first time, from 0 to maximum. So what is pi by 2 omega? Pi divided by twice of omega. What is omega? 100 pi. 100 pi. So pi to pi cancel. What will be time? Time equals 1 by 200 seconds. So at t equals to 1 by 200 second, your current will become maximum. So how much time it took for current to reach maximum value from 0? It took 1 by 200 second. In this case, if you want to know the frequency, then simply find out the time period. What is time period? 2 pi by omega. Omega is 100 pi. Pi cancel, 1 by 50. 1 by 50. What is your frequency? Frequency is nothing but 1 by t. 1 by t is how much? 50 hertz. So in this case, what is the frequency of your current? Frequency of your current is 50 hertz. Now if I ask you, after how much interval current will change its direction? So when you talk about current changing its direction, so in one time period, how many times current changes its direction? In one time period, remember, plus to minus is also taken as change in direction. Minus to plus is also taken as change in direction. So in the graph, if you take a look, in the graph, from here to here, it is one time period. So here this is also a change, this is also a change. So in one time period, current changes its direction twice. So in 1 second, if I ask you in 1 second how many times current changes its direction? So if one time period is twice, then in 1 second it will be twice of frequency. So in 1 second it will be 100 times. So if the frequency is 50 hertz, in 1 second how many times current will change its direction? 100 times. How? Once positive to negative, then again negative to positive. So twice. So pause the video, note it down, then we will solve another question based on this. Now let us solve a question based on your EMF induced in a coil, AC EMF. Now the question is, a simple AC generator consists of 10 turns in a coil of area 1200 centimeters square, which rotates at a frequency of 60 hertz in a magnetic field B equals to 0.4 Tesla. What is the peak EMF induced? So if you remember, EMF equation was written as NBA omega sine omega t, like this. So what is the peak value? Sine omega t will become 1 and this is your value. So EMF max is nothing but NBA omega, where N is the number of turns, B is the magnetic field, A is the area of the loop, omega is the angular speed. Now, so here what is N? 10. What is B? 0.4. What is area? 0.12. Why? Because in meter square we have to take. 60 hertz is not your omega. If you remember, frequency is omega by 2 pi. So omega will be 2 pi times frequency. So this may be written as how much? 10 times 0.4 times 0.12 times omega. Omega is 2 pi mu. So 2 pi times 60, that is your value. So if you solve this, you will get what? 10 times 0.4 is 4, 60, this is 1.2. So 1.2 times 4 is 4.8. So 4.8 times 6, 12 pi. 12 pi. So that is around 60, yes, 4.5 into 12, around 60, that is 3.1. So that will be your approximately 180 volts. So your maximum EMF produced across this AC generator will be 120 volts. So if you draw the graph, time versus EMF, then that graph will be like this and so on. And this maximum value will be 180 volts and this minimum value will be minus 180 volts. And rest of the time your EMF will vary between plus 180 to minus 180. Pause the video, note it down. So this was your end of electromagnetic induction chapter. In this chapter we have talked about different aspects of electromagnetic induction. That is how EMF is induced, how current is induced, how there is an inductance in a coil, how there is a current because of that inductance, how there is a growth of current, how there is a decay of current, and how you can find or you can generate AC current using the concept of electromagnetic induction. So there were two laws, Faraday's law, Lenz's law. So based on that, we have tried to study this entire chapter. Now, if you have any doubt in any topic, you can just ask your doubt in your doubt group. The next chapter will be, for example, this last topic we have talked about how AC current is generated. We have not talked about detail of AC current. We have not studied what happens when AC current is supplied in a circuit. So in the next chapter, we will be talking about AC current in detail. Until then, revise your notes, try to solve as many problems as you can.